South Korea is Australia's third biggest export market, thanks to a strong reliance on Aussie coal, iron ore and LNG. But to help the country achieve net zero emissions by 2050, major Korean industrial companies are now looking to new energy sources like hydrogen. And that's something Korean leaders think is something that Australia can produce in vast numbers. Ed Boyd travelled to the Republic of Korea as a guest of the Walkley Foundation to produce this report.
In South Korea, the signs of industry are everywhere. It's one of the world's biggest producers of computer chips, cars, ships, refined petroleum, machinery and electronic goods. Pohang and its neighbouring city of Ulsan in the nation's southeast is home to Hyundai, POSCO Steel and Korea Zinc. These are among the world's largest producers of steel, cars and refined minerals. POSCO Steel's products are used in shipbuilding, car manufacturing, construction and electrical appliances. There's little doubt you've bought a product with POSCO Steel in it at some time in your life. POSCO exports to 53 countries, but with Australia, it's a two-way street. Trade between Australia and Korea totals about $150,000 per minute. It's one of our biggest customers for resources and agricultural products.
Economically, we have in 2022, on preliminary figures, seen Korea rise to the status of being Australia's third largest goods trading partner, and we're number 5 for Korea. So it's a deep and substantial and highly complementary economic relationship underpinned by a very successful free trade agreement that has seen trade double over the course of that FTA.
In 2022, Australia sent $16.2 billion worth of coal to Korea, plus $8.3 billion worth of iron ore and $8.1 billion of natural gas. In return, Australia bought $3.6 billion worth of motor vehicles. Think brands like Hyundai, Kia, Daewoo and Sanyang. To help fuel those vehicles, Australia also bought $9 billion worth of refined petroleum from Korea, petrol and diesel.
Here in Seoul, we're about 300 kilometres away from the major factories, shipping ports and heavy industry in Korea's south. So the influence of the Aussie minerals sector is a bit harder to see. But when you look all around you, you can see all the infrastructure here, all the major buildings, they're built using Aussie-sourced minerals.
Korea is set on achieving net zero emissions by 2050. To do this, the country plans to import hydrogen from Australia and use it in steel mills, manufacturing plants, refineries, motor vehicles and ships. Korea Zinc has several subsidiaries in Australia, including Arc Energy, which owns a solar farm in Townsville and is the minority owner of a wind farm near Warwick. Korea Zinc's Vice President Ki Jun Kim says the company's ready to increase its investment in Australian renewable energy projects.
Australia, so I think it will be billions of US dollars. So in the coming years.
It's planning to use renewable electricity to create green hydrogen, which it will then ship to its refinery at Ulsan. The hydrogen will then power the Ulsan facility, running the refinery on green energy.
Australia is the best place to invest, especially for the renewable energy perspective, because for the renewable energy, especially for the solar, we need a lot of sunshine, which the Australia can provide, and also for the wind. And compared to our peninsula, Korean peninsula, you have the huge amount of land available with very low expense. And also for the Australian government is really confirmed that in the near future, instead of export just for the coal or LNG, you want to export the green hydrogen.
The Korean government aims to produce about 18% of its hydrogen locally. The rest will be imported, potentially from Australia or the Middle East.
Well, Korea, as I mentioned, has ambitious climate change targets like Australia and is projected to need large amounts of clean hydrogen in order to meet its emission reduction commitments. It's not going to be possible for Korea to produce all of that hydrogen domestically, so they're going to need to import it from elsewhere. Because of the strength and trust and longevity in the Australia-Korea relationship, there's strong potential for our companies to work together to help fill that Korean need for clean hydrogen.
Ulsan Technopark is a government-owned facility dedicated to researching and testing the uses for hydrogen in Korean society. Director General Han-Wo Ri says importing hydrogen from Australia is an attractive prospect due to ships not needing to pass through the contested South China Sea.
You have to think about the tension between the US and China, and actually the hydrogen shipped from the Middle East or hydrogen shipped from the US, they have to pass the conflicting areas, but the hydrogen shipped from Australia, it can actually bypass the conflict regions, so it can become a very stable source of hydrogen.
To reduce emissions, Korea is also rapidly shifting towards electric vehicles. According to the Korea Automobile Manufacturers Association, in 2022, EV sales were nearly 450,000 units. These cars and trucks rely on powerful batteries made using specialty rare earths metals. China has a vice grip on the market, but Aussie companies like Australian Strategic Materials are trying to change that. ASM has a rare earths project near Dubbo in central west New South Wales and a Korean subsidiary called KSM. The head of the Korean operations is positive about the future.
Currently, the production of neodymium metals is concentrated in China. That's why the countries around the world are focusing on securing and establishing an independent supply chain of these rare earth metals.
KSM is hoping to raise capital from investors to proceed with the Dubbo project, which would produce metal oxides in the form of chemicals, powders and metals. The Dubbo deposit contains light and heavy rare earths, zirconium, niobium and hafnium.
I'm here at KSM's rare earths processing facility about 100 kilometres south of Seoul. And they take things like iron oxides and convert them into ingots. Some of the products include titanium and alloys, things that are used by magnet manufacturers and in electric vehicles.
KSM recently signed a rare earth supply deal with Vietnam. The goal is to eventually cut China out of its supply chain.
We've been focusing on battery industry so far, which also uses rare earth metals. But what is more important, according to Mr. Cho, is EV motors. And permanent magnets are essential for manufacturing these EV motors. And the neodymium's demand, Mr. Cho expects that the demand for neodymium metals will grow by tenfold because of the demand for EVs will grow about 5 to 10 folds in the near future.